Thanks for checking out this movie review video. So this is for the 2019 release Vivarium, and because it's a newer film, it's only a few years old, I'm not going to do spoilers for this one. So I will give you a quick little synopsis of the story, very, very quick. I am not going to give any sort of spoilers away on this if people want to watch it themselves. Now, I will say, I personally wouldn't really recommend this film because I've seen stuff kind of like this pulled off before and done in a better way. I just it's overall kind of boring. And even though it's only like, I think it's like an hour and 37-minute runtime, it feels way, way, way too long. It drags like crazy. This is one of the types of films I really like to harp on because I think it's unnecessary, which is it's a short film. It's not a feature-length film, and it feels like it started as a short film script, and they were like, can you make this a feature-length film? And the writer said, sure, and just added in stuff that doesn't add that much to the actual story or experience, and it actually just drags down the pacing and makes it a kind of more uneventful and boring story. So that's kind of how it feels to me. But I'm going to break it down more because there are good things with this. It's some good and some bad. This one's directed by Lorcan Finnegan, who also directed the film Without Name. It was written by Garret Shanley, who wrote the script for Without Name. I have not seen that film, but maybe I should. I mean, I will say the film looks really good. It's a very good concept, and I do like the metaphor at play here, or actually a few metaphors that are at play with this film. But it just doesn't come together the best way. And like I said, the pacing is so off and bad, and you just start feeling bored. Like this is definitely one of those films that makes you want to start reaching for your phone and doing other things while you just listen to what's going on because you know you're not really going to miss that much. So that's unfortunate. It stars Jesse Eisenberg. Obviously, a lot of people know Jesse Eisenberg, but just to give you a quick rundown of some of the stuff he's been in. Roger Dodger, which I actually think is a very underrated film. It's not horror, but a very good film nonetheless. The Village, Cursed, Zombieland, and Zombieland 2, and The Social Network, which he was probably most well known for. And Imogen Poots is in this, and now you may be like, that is a name I recognize, but I don't know what she's been in. She was in 28 Weeks Later, Fright Night Remake, I Killed Giants, the Black Christmas remake, which I have not seen because I don't really need to because the original's so good, and Green Room. That film is criminally underrated. Love that film. I have a review for it on my channel. You should definitely watch that movie, then watch my review. Or just watch that movie. Mainly just watch the movie. It's so good. That was, unfortunately, one of the last films that Anton Yelchin was in before he passed. That was very sad. So quick synopsis. It's about two individuals, Gemma and Tom, who are a couple who decide that they want to get a house together. So they go and check out this house kind of in this very dull, drab, everything looks the same community. And then they get stuck there and can't get out. And that's as far as I'm going to take it, because if you have an interest in seeing the film, it's not a bad film. I just feel like there's a lot of wasted time, unfortunately, and it could have been done in a much more interesting way. The intro scene seems kind of odd, but it does point to what's really going on in the film. So if you pay too much attention to that, you'll know exactly what's going to happen in the film for the most part. So for that reason, I feel like it's a bit too on the nose to start with that, especially because it's not something that is presented in the film that people could really think it's going to be, like some other part of the film. It seems so out of place that people will only be like, well, they obviously wanted us to see this first thing. Obviously, this is what's happening. So it's too on the nose. A lot of the stuff about this film is really too on the nose. There should have been a lot more subtextual stuff going on. It's very in your face about what it's trying to tell you, which some people like that. I personally don't. I feel like that's a way of kind of treating the audience like they're stupid, and I don't appreciate that. The film has a weird air to it, which is intentional and does help enhance the story. It starts with this kind of weird air. It continues that throughout. So the kind of atmosphere building is good with this film for that reason. And that kind of weird, something feels off aspect of it does work in its favor. Another thing I do really like, the score is pretty restrained, which leaves plenty of room basically for viewers to take their time and to just feel what they want to feel, try and figure things out, try and figure out how they feel about the events that are going on in the film. I love films like this that have a more restrained score. That's the way we've kind of been moving with film in general, well, at least horror films in general, and I love that about it because having a heavy-handed score that beats you over the head, trying to tell you what you should be feeling, it's just too much to me. It's like the filmmaker screaming in your face, and I don't like it. So I love that they had a very restrained score for this. The sets and costuming are all very drab. Now that is intentional, so it helps to build onto that atmosphere I was talking about. But know that, like, if you like seeing a film that looks like colors look very appealing and the costuming looks real appealing, that's not this film. But it plays into the overall story, so it's necessary. The film starts to get weird in a kind of stupid way at one point, unfortunately. And it's not the whole thing overall. There are just certain aspects that get kind of weird, stupid. And I could do without those, obviously, because I called them stupid. And some of those things they have a tendency to just overdo on top of that. They just keep hammering it and hammering it and hammering it. And that's kind of a theme with this film is they just keep hammering the same things over and over, and they really don't need to do that. It gets annoying. It gets boring. So, yeah. There are a few shot selections as well that feel kind of odd, and they feel like they're not really for any actual reason in the film. I don't get that. Just seems random. It's very, very random. Like, there's one scene, this ruins nothing, where there's just a shot of, like, a pile of dirt. It goes on too long. Like, I can understand if it, like, pans down, shows the dirt, and then that's a way to transition to the next scene. That's fine. But it stays on it way too long. Maybe they were trying to make a point there that I missed, but very uncompelling. Very weird. There's something one of the characters does that is very annoying. It's supposed to be that way, I will admit. So it plays into the story in a way, but it's done to an excessive level. So much so that I was feeling the urge to turn the movie off and just quit on it. Because I was like, if they're going to keep bringing this up and they're going to keep doing it at this level, at this frequency, I'm done with this. It's annoying. It's driving me crazy. I don't like it. Now, I understand it's supposed to drive that feeling, but you can do that, but do it just enough that it's not making people want to turn the film off. And they take it to the point of making people want to turn the film off, at least for me personally. Just saying. There is a really cool visual towards the end of the film, so look for that. It's where things get weird in an interesting way. You know, I already said there's like weird in a stupid way in some points, but there is really weird in a very interesting and cool way at the end, and that's that cool visual. So look out for that. It's very close to the end of the film. Takes way too long to end, and you get the point, but they just keep trying to get you to the point. They literally get to the point of what they're trying to say numerous times in this film, but just keep going at it. And you're just like, why am I still sitting here? Why are you still subjecting me to this? Like, I understand what you're saying. You don't need to retell the same story over and over. It literally is like one of those friends. Everyone's got this kind of friend. They just keep telling the same story to everyone over and over and over, and you just keep having to hear it because you're usually around them. And you're just like, I'm getting very sick of hearing the same story over and over again. That's what this film starts to feel like. Just saying. But maybe that's partially intentional, because it speaks to something that's kind of metaphor, which I'll talk about in a little bit. The pacing is not very good, and it definitely feels a lot longer than it is, and that's bad, because like I said, the runtime's like an hour and 37 minutes, and that's with credits. So if a film's about an hour and a half, and it feels much longer, that's a bad sign. That's a bad sign. Hopefully I didn't spit on my camera because I saw some fly. I'm getting passionate, you know. A lot is executed in too straightforward of a way that indicates that the writer and director assume their audience is unintelligent. That goes back to what I was saying before about how I hate that everything is so on the nose and so in your face, and they hammer it over and over and over again so that you feel like they're treating you like they're stupid. Like, as director and writer, they felt like they needed to come out into the audience, take your hand, and lead you and say, come on, Carlin, hold my hand, I'll walk you through this because I don't think you're going to understand. So let me talk you through everything. We don't need that. Audience members don't need that. Treat us at least somewhat intelligently, please. That's what we like. We don't like to be treated like we're stupid. There's a good portion of this that is just depressing, and it's a metaphor for life, how it progresses, and kind of how brief it is. Also, the repetition of life in general, just like the life cycle of humanity as a macro view. So it's kind of depressing for that reason. Obviously, it's supposed to be if you watch the film. So yeah. It also talks to how relationships change and degrade because of modern mundane life and just kind of conflicts that come up because of modern mundane life. So, yeah. So, I mean, that's basically all I really want to say about Vivarium. Wasn't a big fan of it, obviously, but there were some good things like I talked about, and it looks really good. It's very well acted. So I can't dock it too much. So out of 5 stars with half stars in play, I'm going to give it 2-star rating. I give it 2 stars. It's below half for me, but there may be people out there who have seen it who are watching this review right now and saying, wow, I love that a lot more. So in those instances, go ahead and put some comments down there and let me know, what did you get out of it? What did you see differently? Or what did I miss? You know, I'm always totally willing to hear different sides to, you know, these films. Like, I want to be able to consider more than what I personally see, because everyone views films in a very different manner, and it's just very interesting to hear from other people, especially when their opinions conflict with mine. So go ahead and put in comments, what did you think of this film? Let's talk about it. Okay, I was just thinking, I'm like, wait, did I give my star rating? Because sometimes I forget that. No, I got it, definitely. So the last thing, please subscribe to this channel. I really would appreciate that if you haven't already. If you have, thank you very, very much. That means a lot to me. It really does. But if you haven't, go ahead and hit subscribe. It is quick. It is painless. Takes you literally a second. Costs no money. And it motivates me. So if you want to repay me for this video or any video you've ever enjoyed, subscribing is the way to do that. And I would appreciate it. But regardless, I really do thank you for taking your time to watch this. And until next time, keep it brutal.